All right, so moving right along. So Tyrese had a weird conversation online that I wanted y'all opinion on, and we're gonna go
another
ahead.
one.
Yeah, it's I don't know what be wrong with my man Black Ty, but Tyrese says that he wishes he was born Latino. So let's go ahead and check out this Instagram post. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Tyrese says, "Sometimes I wish I was born Latino. I mean, Latin community is grounded in family, loyal entrepreneurs, businessmen, and women literally represent the dream, the grind, the hustle, doing whatever it takes to stick together against all odds. If us, as black culture, was more grounded in these integral, magical nuances," I'm assuming he meant to add a word here, "a lot of us would be dominant. I've learned a lot from the Jewish community, sticking together, eating dinner every Friday. I've learned a lot about the Muslim community throughout all my travels in the Middle East. They have a father structure where they honor their fathers in the Middle East. The thinking and the mentality is that they would much rather have a son over a daughter because they know that there is nothing like the leadership of a father and a man being the head of a household. I have no idea how we lost our way. We can't get anything done and accomplished as a fragmented culture. Insecure, threatened by each other, competitive towards our own race, killing ourselves every single day. Frivolously. The majority of us as black men and the millions are locked up in prison. Of course, we are beyond powerful, influential, and successful, but imagine if we all linked up like other communities have linked. Poured and build up each other instead of moving like fragmented and dysfunctional ...
Niggas.
We have what it takes to take over the world. We are nothing trying to do it alone. Please chime in. Would love to know your thoughts on this." How y'all boys feel? And I did my best. There was a million typos in it. Did you look at that part?
I looked at it. It was, you did great, by the way, because the typos when I was reading it
Nigga,
earlier was,
I felt like I just walked a tightrope. Like
yeah,
that.
I ain't gonna hold you, dude. How do I
Sheesh.
feel? First of all, I'm gonna say this right away. As a black man, I find it irresponsible to say I wish I wasn't a black man. Like, you on your own island with that, homie. I mean, however, I get some of the points you were trying to make as far as us as a people are not unified compared to other races by any means. I mean, even our positive people, like, because we have a lot of positivity in the community that outwardly speak, the people who speak affirmations, take a different walk in accepting being black and spreading a positive message, but they even talk down on others who not on what they on. Like, you can hold
true.
people accountable, but you know what I'm saying, when they attack others for not being on what they on, which I've never really agreed with that neither.
That's definitely factual.
So I get some of the points he's making, because if we were more unified, no telling how far us as a people would be. We wouldn't need anybody else or anything else, probably, to be honest. So he makes some good points, but again, wishing you wasn't a black man, I ain't rolling. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I would basically say the same thing for real, because I definitely wouldn't say that. That's just something you're not going to sit there and say. I get where he was coming from it, and the idea he was trying to say more is like, I wish it was different.
I wish things were different. Yeah.
Would have been better. Mm-hmm. But what he said, a lot of things he said is valid, and I wouldn't say that's for everybody, because I know there are some successful still black families that do hold on to the what we were saying, like the
traditions, the values.
Right? Thanks. That's where tradition and values and morals of family and things like that. But as a whole, it does look bad for the black community at times, because we don't stick together and we don't. We don't love each other. You know what I mean? It's so much more envy than it is love, and it does suck, because when you do look at these other cultures and you do look at Latino people, it seems like they have this like endearment towards being Latino that keeps them in the same room and vibing, and you know what I mean? So more the chances you're gonna get there, you're gonna see fun, family, drinking, versus more when you go to a black event, it's like, oh, somebody gonna get shot. So it's a stereotype, but at the same time, it is reality.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. Tyrese is an interesting character. And he's somebody who usually when he chimes in, before I even read it, my initial reaction is, here we go. And I don't think this is any different. I think the first thing that jumps out of the page to me is that a lot of the comparisons that he is making, and a lot of people make these comparisons, they don't compare ethnic group to ethnic group or even ethnicity to ethnicity, race to race. People do this weird thing where they compare black people to religious groups. And I'll explain. If you're visiting the Middle East and you're hanging around mosques and you're hanging around a lot of Muslim fundamentalist areas, they're not the way that they are because they just love being Afghani or they love being Iraqi or they love being that's not just Afghani culture or Iraqi culture or, you know what I'm saying? Sub-Saharan culture or wherever that you went, that's a religion. Mm-hmm. Muslim is a religion. Mm-hmm. Just like Jewish, because he compared it to the Jewish community, is also a religion.
Right.
When people have a unified view under a certain set of spirituality, there is a set of rules, guidelines, lifestyles, all these things that come with that follows discipline. So just comparing a group of people that are only unified because they share the same skin color to a group of people that are unified under a Bible or under a Quran or under not fair.
That's not fair because religion is a community in its own as opposed to race being in a community of its own. Those are two different aspects you should be looking at it as.
Exactly. So at that point, you would have to compare. At that point, if you compare people who are, let's say, Muslims who are devout and visit the mosque and this and that, and you compare them to devout Christians, you're not going to see that big. It's not a huge difference.
Correct, because they're all unified under their religion.
Correct. So that's part of where his confusion comes in. Mm-hmm. And I caught that in who he kept using as examples later on. Mm-hmm. Now, bringing it back to the ethnicity thing, because originally he started saying that he wishes he was Latino. A lot of the time, there's things that I feel like people don't understand. One, this goes back to our conversation earlier. As someone who is multilingual and learned English later on in life, I understand that Americans do not understand how big of a difference language makes in life. And I get that. That's something I'm reminded of almost every week of my life, where I realize that unless you speak more than one language fluently, I don't think you'll ever fully grasp how much one word or one phrase or one translation could change the meaning so vastly. And when I say that, what I'm saying is when you visit these places and you're visiting these people and you have no idea what their customs are, you don't know what they're saying, you don't know how they're living, you don't know their family story, you don't know anything. All you know is that you're outside, you're hearing music that you're not familiar with, you're seeing smiles, you're smelling food, and you think, damn, that looks fun. But guess what? There's a lot of people who aren't familiar with black people, who don't know anything about black life, that when they first hung out with black people and went to their first barbecue, how did they feel? The same way that you felt visiting these people that you don't know anything about. You don't know about cousin Enrique who was touching people in the family. You don't know about cousin Barbara with the drug habit. You don't know about X, Y, and Z, all these different things that are happening. You don't know about how mom could have got her papers 10 years ago, but dad, because when he first got over here, he started dating that lady from across such and such. He wanted to delay her getting in the country so he could keep beating the cheeks of the lady across the street and blase, blase, blah. You don't know that because even if they tried to tell you, you wouldn't understand the story.
Yeah, you're right.
What I'm saying is, you're able, when you're in your community and in your world where you understand the different stories, you're able to pick up the good, the bad, and the ugly all at once.
From the outside.
Whereas when you're on the outside looking in and you don't understand, you don't even know something as simple as body language. Body language, people don't know this. Body language changes from country to country. Body language changes from culture to culture. There's certain things that we do that are comfortable to us that in another country could mean the middle finger.
Offense. Yep.
Like, for those who ever read Shakespeare or took theater in ancient Italy, biting your thumb is their middle finger. Doing this, biting your thumb at somebody is shooting the middle finger.
I remember the one that we all know.
Yeah, and it's little things like that somebody could be beefing right in front of you. Somebody could have just cursed their mama out. They could have no respect for what's going on. They could be doing all types of stuff. Somebody could be setting up their daughter against their daughter's will and marrying them to somebody that they ain't got no business to be married to. But you're inside that Muslim household looking at the furniture, looking at how quiet they are when they address their father, looking at the fact that they don't question that man, they don't say nothing. And so to you, you're like, see, that's respect. They understand respect. But what you don't know is he could have killed his last 2 wives. He could have murdered his last 2 wives, and they know this, and they know if I speak, I'll die.
Correct. And then just people of other ethnicities and be hella racist too.
Everyone has their dirt.
Right.
Every single culture internally has their dirt. You can't look at a group of people, whether it be Jewish people, Hispanic people, Muslim people, from ethnicity to religious group to whatever. There's not a single group where there's no controversy, where there's no problems, where there's no backbiting. That's not a thing.
Right. That's why I would have been
handled differently. Different body.
It's handled differently, and there's also different consequences.
Yep.
Like some of these places, it's illegal for you to lie on somebody. So what you pulled with that whole telling people that Will Smith gave you a X amount of loan and this and that, and the Smiths had to come out and say, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
You could have been in jail or worse. Some of these other countries that you're envying, like you're like, damn, I wish I lived there. You couldn't live there because guess what? Niggas like you are also the problem here.
Right. You can't cuss in certain countries. You can't light up a joint or a cigarette in certain places.
You can't get loud with people in certain countries. You can't, like, there's rules that affect the way that people behave. And just like you're gonna, put that view or look down or I'm not gonna say look down because I don't feel like he was looking quote unquote down at black people. But from the angle that you were reviewing our people, I feel like it wasn't an accurate angle, and I feel like it was an angle that a lot of black people take when they don't know people from other countries or they don't know people from other races. Like I've seen black people say before where like something will happen, and they'd be like, "Oh, white people don't have these problems. We have these problems," and that, like, they'll say certain things, and it'll be the most common problem ever. By the way, it'll be the most simple thing. It'll be like, "White people don't do that. Only we do it," and I'm like, "Oh, so you've never had white friends." You've never really actually been ingratiated around people of whatever race it is that you're talking about.
Right.
Because yes, they do.
Right. That's a fact.
And sometimes too, it's just, it might even be more internal. You might just never been around black people that do things like that. You might involve yourself to be around black people or, that race that just is hood activity.
That is
you
true.
know what I'm saying? Like, if you in the hood, you're going to get the hood.
That is definitely true.
Walk out the hood. You know what I mean?
Because the people that you hang around with on one street might not behave anything like the people uptown.
Right.
That's a fact. I just see what he was getting. Like I said, the race thing, him comparing our race to the religion community, I don't agree with that. But I think what he was ultimately trying to say is the black social construct is jacked up, and that part he not wrong about. Like,
I don't know.
That part,
I don't know what you mean by that.
That in some degrees it is. Like, I ain't perfect or nothing like that, but I'm just saying in general the social construct is kind of jacked up because black men still go around other black men uncomfortable, not welcoming per se, defensive per se. Black men and women, by the way, do that. You see that all the time. Or,
but I feel like
that's something that exists.
It's kind of like, but that's like the people we hang. Like that's the people you hang with. You feel what I'm saying?
Necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't totally disagree with that, but I'm saying not necessarily. If you go around enough places in general, you see that's kind of what it is. I'm not gonna be friendly or welcoming to them, and you might not agree, but I'm saying in my observation of it, like.
But even in that observation, what we're saying is that exists, but it always exists in a caveat.
But I wouldn't. That's why I said I would not have brought any. That's exactly what I'm saying. I wouldn't have brought any comparisons to it. I would have just strictly said.
Even without the comparison, what I'm saying is you're describing a phenomenon that exists, but it only exists within certain groups of people, groups of black people is what I'm saying.
Correct, and I'm saying in general, like as a whole, the excuse me, the social constructs is still kind of off. You got these people who do this. You got these people who move like this as black people. You got people who move like this. Some people are positive, pro-black, always want to big people up, big each other up, bring people together. Then you have some that's indifferent about that. I'll say I'm somebody who like that. Like I love my people, but I'm indifferent about that per se. I'm a positive person, but I'm indifferent about. I don't look down on people who don't look at like go in a positive route is what I'm saying. I feel like what he was trying to get at, and who knows, I might not be making no type of sense right now, but I feel like he was just trying to say that the way we communicate, the way we operate as a whole, it done fell off. We don't, the family reunions is limited. The way the household is different in the black homes. It's not. I don't know.
No, I agree. I don't know if I'm rambling and not making. No, you are sense. Because traditionally, even I can say that, bro. I used to eat dinner Sunday. We eat dinner.
That's what I'm saying.
And that tradition has kind of died. Like we're not really carrying the same traditions. But again, it goes back to what we do ourselves and who we hang around. You know what I mean? Because you can't say that people aren't doing that.
And that's not a black thing. That's this country thing. Because we also have to remember. There are there's a reason why almost every holiday I see articles come out that are talking about how less and less families cook or eat at home for holidays, and that more and more you have surges of people going out to restaurants for dinners, even something that simple like Sunday dinners are a thing of the past. It used to be that as a restaurant, you wouldn't get that much of a Sunday rush. For the most part, Sunday was a dead day, and it was a bad day for a lot of businesses because families would usually be together. But that's not a thing anymore.
Right.
That's not a black thing. And I think that's the thing that makes me unable to look at what Tyrese said and be like, I feel him. I don't feel him. Because even the things that you just named, that's not black people. That's people.
And to me, this kind of goes back to the conversation where we had about hip hop. It's like we make this idea of what it should be, and when it's not that, or someone's doing something different, then we outcast them. You know what I mean? Like, because like in the black community, they say, well, when you start getting money and then you start hanging out with the white people and wearing the Cosby sweaters, now you're a coon. You feel what I'm saying? So like. To me, I get what you're saying, but I feel like it looks like that because of the numbers. If we're the majority, of course, it's going to be more likely to see that because we are the majority.
But even with that, I had a homie who his whole family was on some like, MS-13 cholo gang banging type shit. Mexican dude, real cool cat. But he wasn't on that, and he was raised around it. He had to bang. He had to do what he did or whatever. But as he got older, dude changed his life. He got his, certifications. He started working in computer engineering and this and that. And as he started changing his life and changing the places that he would be around, the same things that we talk about that we're like, oh, that's black people, that's this, that's that. They're looking at it, they're like, oh, you're not Mexican no more? You're not one of us no more? You're not this and that? It don't matter if you're Mexican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, whatever. There's not a single group of people that don't do that. Haitians do that. Nigerians are famous for doing that. And maybe I see this more. This is I keep bringing it back to like, I feel like I have a more worldly view of this because when I get on even my social media, I'm not Nigerian. I'm always getting flooded with Nigerian videos or seeing those videos or whatever where, you know how there's those videos where people make fun of their culture. Like, they be like, oh, black mamas be like, or black dads be like.
I'm Nigerian, of course, inserts whatever.
Exactly. So I'm watching these Nigerian videos and they have the same type of issues as far as, you know, dude is marrying a woman who's not from the culture and this and that. And it's like, oh, you're not one of us no more. Or let's say instead of doing a traditional garb for this or that or whatever, it's like, damn, you forgot where you came from.
Right.
Or changing certain types of careers because there's expectations on what career you're supposed to have and all these different things. Like, that exists in every line of life. The problem
That's
is
why you shouldn't
we look
compared it to nobody. That's
we look internally and we always say, why does it got to be us, as if it's only us? But in reality,
it's just what we see.
That's
just what we see.
What we see.
It's our culture.
And that's why I'm saying he's wrong in trying to compare anybody. That's why I'm still gonna stay with. If anything, I would be looking at it like if I'm trying to have some understanding, he may be trying to get at that how I view me being a black man and how we operate as a people, generalizing it. Of course, everybody ain't on that. There are, like, you know, people that hold on to the traditional values of how blacks grew up in America. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, generalizing it, we're not that unified. I don't think so, at least.
See, me,
in my humble opinion, again, I wouldn't have compared that to no other races or no other religious communities. I'm just saying.
Even if you take the comparison out, what we're saying is that's not a black thing at all. Even if you look internally.
But I'm saying to me, I'm trying to say that maybe he should have just focused on what's happening in our house, because I look at black people problems only internally. I'm not comparing it to Latin people problems or other ethnicities and races problems, because I'm focused on what, as a black man, what's going on in our house.